Okay, let's start working on some of the units in the lab workbook, in the student workbook for Psych 215. And I got it open here in a PDF version, and I'm going to sort of take you through a little bit of the details and tell you a little bit about how this works. If you open up your workbook, you can see that there's a table of contents, and what I'd like you to do is work through the first unit. This workbook is meant for you to work at your own pace, on your own, sitting essentially at a computer with Microsoft Excel open. Now, as I've sort of said in other places and at other times, I don't presume that you know anything about Microsoft Excel. The first unit, this Excel introduction unit, is specifically to do that, and that is to introduce you to Excel. So if we open up, you can see that every unit I start with a cover page that identifies the objectives for that particular unit. These are things that I want you to be able to do when you're done with this unit. So in this particular unit, I want you to be able to open Excel. No, I want you to be able to save a workbook, rename and add a worksheet, use common menu commands, and so on and so forth. Those are the goals of the unit. So let's start with an introduction. Excel is a spreadsheet program. A spreadsheet comes from accounting. These were used in accounting, and Excel is a great thing, a great program because it can help you organize data, graph data, perform statistical and mathematical functions, and do a whole bunch of things. We can even write programs in this called macros, and we can use add-ins, and we can use spell checking, and you can add spreadsheets, and it's really complex, but it's not that complicated. Here's what Excel looks like when I open it on my computer. This is a PC version. I think this is Excel 2010. There are other versions of this, and they look fairly similar. Now, the first thing that I want to tell you about is that these things we call here, these are called workbooks. In a workbook, what we have worksheets. You can see that. So that's one of the first distinctions or first things you got to recognize is that there are workbooks and worksheets. Workbooks are made up of worksheets. You can have many worksheets in a workbook. When you save something, what you wind up saving is the workbook and all its worksheets in it. So as we go on, you can see that I have some description of what the various events are. I have some goofy data entry in here. I'm not going through this in detail right now because I want you to spend the time working through this on your own at your own pace. But I just want to highlight a few things. These are just some different functions that we can use and so on. Now, in this point in the workbook, when you get here, I'd like you to practice some computations. I'd literally like you to write down what you're going to type in to a cell in order to perform mathematical computations or computations in Excel. There's no reason to have a calculator. Excel can do everything that your calculator does using special commands. So this chart here is to give you some practice on how to perform these mathematical functions or computations right here in Excel, and then we'll have some answers. I will post on Monday a completed table with the answers for this. There are some questions that I'd like you to fill in, and if you're having trouble with these, that's when you need to drop me a line and ask me what the heck is going on. Here's some more data to practice with. I will post what the answers to these questions on Monday. Here's some more practice doing some computations. Here's a description of functions and so on and so forth. The last thing that I want to talk to you about, because you're going to go through this on your own and work at your own pace, and you can drop me any questions about anything you have, is I want you, this is a chart that I made up, and this is slightly different depending on the version of Excel you're using, but this is to show you what your mouse cursor will look like. See, this mouse cursor that I'm moving over here in circles is an arrow. See that? But when you move your mouse around and your cursor around in Excel, it actually changes to these different shapes and different icons and stuff. And you should recognize that they do different things, and it can be very, very valuable. Paste special is another really, really super valuable thing to do in Excel. So I'd just like to point that out to you. Here's some more practice that might be good to go through. And then lastly, when you're done with this, I've made this little checklist, and this corresponds to the objectives that I've listed at the front of the unit. Can you do all these things? If you can, and if you can check off all these things and say, yes, I know how to do all this stuff, then you're awesome, you're all set, we're good to go, and we're going to move forward and have a great time working with Excel. So that was Unit 1 Introduction. Again, what I would like you to do is now open up Excel and go through this unit at your own pace. If you have any questions, please drop me an email. I will be posting the answers to these various exercises. When you're done with all this on Monday at about 4:30 or so, I will be uploading the first problem set, which will involve maybe some questions from here, but mainly from the reading. So good luck again. Drop me a note if you have any problems. See ya.